Pets Add Life, your guide to the latest in pet trends, products, and the joy of the human-animal bond, with Kristen Levine and Chris Bonafati, powered by the American Pet Products Association and Dog TV.
Welcome to the Pets Add Life podcast. Chris, I think this is going to be a great show. We're airing on the 13th, so lucky 13. I think we're going to have a great show. What do you think?
I think we're going to have a great show. Can't believe summer is coming to a close quite soon. It feels like just yesterday we were sitting here coming up with ideas on how to talk about pet care during the hot summer months. And pretty soon we're going to have to talk about fall and leaves and apple cider and all that stuff. But for now, let's enjoy the rest of August while we still can. We have a most excellent show lined up for you all. We're going to talk a little bit about art. We're going to talk a little bit about animal behavior. We're going to give you two great stories, as always, two product recommendations. And at the end of the show, we're going to answer two of your questions. So stick around. You don't want to miss that.
Kristen and Chris present Storytime.
So, Kristen, my story this week is a fun one, a little sad and a little interesting. Aww. It's a real smorgasbord.
Okay.
But I was perusing the scientific journals, as one does, especially in the animal well-being part, paying attention to what Habry does and things like that. And there's a new study that's been published, and the title of this article says it all. So I'm just going to read the article title verbatim. Dogs can smell their human stress, and it makes them sad, which is the sad part.
I believe that
this
about
is an amazing
smelling the stress.
Yeah, it's an absolutely amazing study. We've always sort of known that some of these more emotionally intelligent dogs that act as therapy dogs or service dogs can use their sense of smell to do absolutely amazing things. You read about dogs who can predict seizures or other, physical issues. There's dogs out there that can help with diabetics. There's dogs out there that can help people with heart conditions. But it turns out dogs can actually sense our cortisol going up. They have that sensitive of a sense of smell. And because of the bond that we have forged through 30,000 years of changing doggy DNA, it makes them feel really sad when our stress gets high. So that's why you will see dogs do whatever it takes to make us feel better, whether that's cozying up to us, or sometimes they'll go bring you a toy and you often think, oh, this is the dog, wants to play with me. No, the toy makes them happy. So they're thinking, well, how do I make my person happy? It's the toy.
I think the most surprising thing about that study is that it makes them sad. Like, it does not surprise me that, they found that dogs can sense our stress, but, that it makes them sad. That's really interesting. And I wonder how they determine that. Obviously our dogs or cats try to make us feel better, but I never really thought about it from their perspective as them being sad and wanting to make us happy.
Yeah, the article even references that it sort of makes the way they measured some of this is how much the dog's behavior changed around stressed people. And looking at some of the measurements that came in from the dogs weren't getting more stressed, because a lot of people think your dog mirrors your emotions, which is true to an extent. But it turns out that they're not getting stressed. They're going into problem-solving mode and trying to help you out. So man's best friend for many reasons. Thank you to all of our amazing dogs for trying their best to keep us stressed out or unstressed out. Stressed in? No, that doesn't work either.
De-stressed.
For helping us relax. There we go. Helping us relax.
There we go. That's a really good one. I love that. Is that on the Habry website?
It is not. The article will be, of course, in the show notes, and I got it directly from livescience.com. Okay.
Very good. Very good. So my story today is sort of a cautionary tale. We're still in the tail end of summer, and I know a lot of folks like to go hiking with their dogs. And I came across this story about a 160-pound Great Pyrenees who was on a hike with his family out in Oregon, and he had to get carried by the the fire district off the mountain because he could no longer walk. And what happened was this particular trail, even though it was marked as a dog-friendly trail, in some of the steeper areas, they had buried wire, like a mesh wire, to help people, maintain traction on the trail. But what happens over time is this wire kind of gets, messed up and little pieces of it stick up. And so this poor dog, this 160-pound dog, had little bloody paws. He couldn't walk anymore. So I just thought that was really interesting because the trail was marked dog friendly. And in the article that I read, the fire district was quoted as saying, yeah, this is not the first time we've had to rescue dogs off this mountain for either dehydration or injured paws. So two things there. I think it's really up to us as pet parents to know the trails that we're taking our dogs on. If you have a Trails app like All Trails, there are reviews there. So I would encourage people to read reviews, even on the dog-friendly trails, before you head out with your pup. And obviously to make sure they're hydrated and they have paw protection if it's rough terrain. So, but there's some really cute pictures in this article with this 160-pound Great Pyrenees being carried down the mountain by the fire department.
Must have been a very, very buff fireman, Mr. February brought this dog down the hill for sure. Because I wouldn't make it more than 10 feet carrying something that big. But I want to tack on, don't just read reviews on these sites. If you're somebody who's hiking a lot with your dog and you're using the app, leave some reviews, please. Please. Combat the bot armies and the idiots out there, because for every idiot with a bad opinion, there's a wise listener of the PAL podcast with a good opinion.
Beyond the Leash, exploring the untold stories of pet passion and professionalism.
And joining us now is Dr. Rachel Geller, who's a renowned cat behavior specialist, right up my alley, and the president and founder of All Cats All the Time, Inc., based in Newton, Massachusetts. Dr. Geller is dedicated to keeping cats and their owners together through free cat behavior counseling and surrender prevention services. With a rich background that includes certifications as a pet chaplain, fear-free shelter professional, and cat-friendly veterinarian advocate, Dr. Geller works with various organizations such as Here Today, Adopted Tomorrow Animal Sanctuary, Bay Path Humane Society, and Puppy Kitty NYC. Her nonprofit organization helps low-income cat owners catify their homes, ensuring that financial constraints don't lead to surrendering pets. What an amazing resume. I feel like you are so overqualified to be on our show, but thank you anyway for joining us today on the PAL podcast.
I will always accept any invitation when I can do something that might help cats. So glad to be here.
I feel the same way. As a proud cat dad, thank you for your service. But let's just go ahead and start right at the beginning. I want to start actually with the surrender prevention, because I think that's a thing that is incredibly unique. We see that unfortunate news all the time of families feeling like they just can't take proper care of the animal, and with the best intentions having to surrender that animal. So can you talk a little bit about surrender prevention and some of the work that goes into making sure that doesn't happen?
Yeah, so I think a big thing with cat owners is they don't realize that most cat behaviors are actually fixable or solvable. And surrender prevention is very important to me, because when we keep a cat who already has a home in her home, this frees up shelter space to take in cats who truly are homeless, who are paws on the ground, so to speak. So giving people those tools and helping them understand what behaviors are happening and why they're happening, and working with people to keep their cats in their homes really saves 2 lives. And I think that what I'm really trying to do is get more and more people educated about cat behavior problems, how we can fix them, how we can work with people to keep their cats in their homes. And with the certification program that I founded that's being hosted right now by Community Cats Podcast, I've actually been able to certify thousands of people in surrender prevention for cats. And it is just so important, because so many people will surrender a cat because the cat's not using the litter box, or the cat is scratching on everything except for that lovely scratching post that you brought home for her. So trying to think like a cat, figure out what's going on, and then work to solve the problem. A big thing is people will say to me, my cat's a brat, or my cat's behaving badly, or my cat's behaving out of spite. And it's really important for people to understand that cats don't do things to spite us or to get revenge. Cats behave in ways to meet their needs. So when we figure out what need isn't being met, that usually puts us on the road to solve the problem.
Well, Dr. Geller, I love what you're doing because I actually started my pet career working at an animal shelter. And so I saw all those kitties being surrendered for, mostly behavior issues. And preventing the surrender is so important. So thank you for this incredible work you're doing. Can you talk to us a little bit about what are the most common behavior challenges that cat parents are struggling with that potentially, that we're trying to avoid them ending up in becoming a surrender?
So, hands down, by far, the most problem I get contacted for is not using the litter box. Um, it's such a big deal, and realistically, cat pee is really smelly and it's
Yes,
hard
it
to get
is.
out. So, it's usually like a no go for people. The cat's peeing around the house, the cat's already peed on 7 different couches or pieces of furniture, and they're at their wits' end. So,
Yeah.
believe it or not, sometimes this problem can be solved within 5 minutes. So, for example, if they're using a covered litter box, most cats don't like covered litter boxes because they they are both predator and prey to other animals. So they always want to know what's going on, and a covered litter box completely blocks their visual field. So cats don't want a covered box. They actually want the opposite. They want to be able to see all the way around them. They want to know they're going to have ample visual warning time should an opponent appear, and they want to know they have potential for escape. So the covered litter box prevents the cat from meeting all of those needs from what she needs in the litter box. The worst thing about a covered litter box or putting them in a closet or a cabinet is should an opponent or invader appear, the only means of escape is right into that cat's face. So
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to be very reassuring for your cat. So sometimes it's something very simple, remove the cover. Sometimes it's a little more complicated. They don't like the litter, they don't like the location. But I kind of go through, I'm a little bit of a Sherlock Holmes and kind of ask all these questions, get an idea of what's going on, have people send me pictures of the litter box setup, and then we go from there.
That's great. Using your powers of deduction to solve the litter box crimes.
Yes,
Absolutely
I'm a
wonderful.
regular Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, I
There
love
we go. I
that.
love that. So I mentioned briefly the catification of the home and getting your home ready and comfortable to have a feline companion. So can you quickly go over some of those steps for some of our listeners out there who may be considering adopting a cat, what some of those steps are like real quick to make sure the house is nice and ready?
So the first thing is the litter box. And I always recommend one more box than the number of cats you have. So even if you're only adopting one cat, I want you to have 2 boxes because these opponents can be real or imagined. And the idea of resources can also be real or imagined. So we want to make sure they have 2 litter boxes, even for one cat. Then think in terms of your cat's natural need to climb and to be elevated, again, to protect herself. So we want plenty of areas that have vertical space. A cat tree is great, but if you don't have room for a bulky cat tree, a window perch, or repurpose the back of a sofa with a quilt on it as vertical space. Tops of containers can be repurposed for vertical space and so forth. Of course, food and water. And last but definitely not least, because this is very important, is cats need a really good scratching post that's the right texture for a cat
Mm-hmm.
and that's high enough and sturdy enough for a cat.
That's great advice.
That's all
I
great advice. Yeah.
doc, Doc, I had once heard, tell me if this is true or not, that some cats prefer a scratching surface that is horizontal and some prefer vertical. Is that true?
This is true. So
Mm-hmm.
if your cat is scratching items or places you don't want her to scratch, look and see where she's scratching. So if she's going on the rug, that's a horizontal scratcher.
Yeah.
If she's going up the back of the sofa, then you have yourself a vertical scratcher. So yes, that is a very true phenomenon among cats.
And I would add on to that, if you bought a cat scratching post and your cat is still scratching at your furniture, try to find a scratching post that matches that furniture's texture, because there's something about the furniture that's very satisfying to them, and it's something they have to do. It keeps their nails clean. It keeps it also helps with their nails as they grow, helps them mark their territory. They're going to scratch, so give them the type of surface that they want, right?
Yes. I mean, when someone says to me, how can I stop my cat from scratching? I need to reframe that question, because we're not going to stop the cat from scratching. We just don't want her doing it on your couch or your rugs. But I do find that looking at the scratching posts, a lot of them aren't tall enough. So it needs to be at least 3 feet tall. Your cat wants to get that full extension. She doesn't want to crouch over to use the post. And sometimes you see at the pet store, they're skinny. The base is not really that wide. So a lot of the reason your cat might go to the couch is because think of what your cat would do outdoors. She would scratch on a tree. So trees are very, very sturdy.
Yeah.
So if your scratching post is kind of thin, it's not that big, there's a small base, it doesn't have the texture to be able to withstand all that pushing and pulling, then that scratching post will sit there unused.
So, Doc, you started a nonprofit called All Cats All the Time. I love that name. That's great. Can you first of all tell us a little bit about the nonprofit, and also any challenges in running a nonprofit that you've experienced?
And so I started my nonprofit because when I started doing this whole cat behavior thing, and my personal mission in life is that there's never a financial barrier preventing somebody from keeping their cat if the issue is behavior. So
Okay.
my idea is I'm just going to solve these cat behavior problems. It's going to be really great and really rewarding. And that was good. But then an unintended consequence was people would say to me, thank you so much. You solved my problem. I can keep your cat. How can I pay you? I want to pay you. Or if I didn't accept payment, oh, then I want to donate to a cause that's important to you. So as I got to thinking about it, sometimes my advice is not only advice. Sometimes people need stuff. They need a cat tree, they need a window perch, they need a different litter box, they need to try a different type of litter. And this can be a burden for low income people. So my idea was, what if instead of telling people to donate to this other organization, how if they donate to my organization and I use that to then help low income people keep their cats? So
Oh, I
it's
love
really
that.
been, I mean, I just think it's lovely. So people
Yeah.
are keeping their cats in their homes. Then they donate to help other people keep their cats in their homes. And I help people who need a medical assist, who need to buy cat stuff to catify their homes, who maybe need to buy prescription food, all of that stuff that's pretty expensive. I've been able to buy for people so they can keep their cat. So
That's
it's,
absolutely amazing.
it's the
Because,
best.
yeah,
Yeah.
you think one thing you never want to see is somebody either decide not to get a pet or give up their pet because of financial reasons, especially all the benefits that you get from having a pet, that companionship, and the sort of stress relief and things like that are really good benefits when you're strapped for cash, right?
Yeah.
When you have a lower income and life comes at you really fast and hard, it's really great to have a companion around. And I cannot imagine the heartbreak of having to say goodbye
Yeah.
because you simply don't make enough money. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for that work that you're doing.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, it's
And I think
really important to me.
I think we need to add another title to your resume, and that is you are a cat angel. You
Yes,
are
the cat
truly
guardian
helping
angel.
cat guardian angel, supporting cats and their people.
Yes.
Well, how can folks reach you, Dr. Geller, if they would like to either donate to All Cats All the Time, or if they need your help?
So if someone needs my help or wants to donate, they can go to my website, which is drrachelcatbehavior.com. And I have a donate button, and I have all kinds of videos on there, as well as my contact information. So if you are having a cat behavior problem, I do provide all of my services completely free of charge. So send me an email and we can get started.
That's absolutely
Fantastic.
phenomenal. Hopefully you get a couple of donations and a couple of great emails coming in from our listeners. So head on over to that website, folks, if you have a problem or if you have a few extra dollars to help Dr. Geller out. But thank you so much for spending some time with us. This was a great interview. Thanks again for coming on the podcast.
I really appreciate the opportunity to reach more people and solve more cat behavior problems. So thank you too.
Great.
Absolutely.
What an amazing human being.
She's doing all of this at no cost to people. I love that. You just never hear about that.
Yeah, I mean, this is America. you don't do stuff for free. You don't do stuff for free. You don't get anything for free unless you're Dr. Geller. That woman really knows her stuff. She's a great resource. Hopefully we can continue to find some ways to support the work that she's doing. And again, if you're out there and you want to give up a Starbucks order today and throw your $5 towards Dr. Geller, you may end up helping somebody who wouldn't ordinarily be able to keep their cat.
Pets add life.
Joining us now is Natalie Decker, the creative mind behind Watercolor and Whiskers, which is a stupendous idea, if I do say so myself. It's a unique workshop that combines her love for art and dogs. Born in Dayton, Ohio, Natalie pursued her passion for fine arts at London Wood University, where she completed her bachelor's degree. Her work is characterized by vibrant scenes from her travels, often featuring playful canine companions. Through her Painting with Puppies workshops, Natalie not only provides a therapeutic and creative experience, but also fosters a sense of community among participants. Thank you, Natalie, so much for joining us. I had a little sneak preview of the website, and I'm absolutely stoked to talk about these workshops. How are you doing today?
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm doing great. How are you?
Hanging in there, doing better now that you're here, actually. So let's just get right into it. Let's talk a little bit about Watercolor and Whiskers and tell us a little bit about the program and maybe the inspiration behind it, what caused you to really start it up.
Yeah, so, during COVID, I felt like there was kind of a lack of community. Everyone was isolated for so long. And kind of getting back into the swing of things. I don't know, I didn't see as many events out there that were unique and interesting where people could just get together and have fun. So I really wanted to do that and feature art and puppies, obviously, and kind of hopefully also alleviate a lot of anxiety because both of those do that. That's kind of where the idea got started.
I love that. Perfect combination of stress reduction too, puppies and art. Can you tell us a little bit, maybe have some stories or feedback from some of your participants, how the combination of the art and the presence of the puppies has helped to reduce stress or to make them, to give them creative inspiration?
Yeah, so the puppies, obviously, there's nothing cuter than a puppy, right? So just getting to sit around dogs, any age really, it helps people relax and just be in the moment and enjoy what the world has to offer. And then the other part to it is the watercolors. And again, like art therapy is such a big thing to me. I grew up obviously like learning how to paint and just getting the colors to paper and getting to design anything that you want is just such a calming aspect to life. So, yeah.
So I have a clarifying question. Do people bring their own dogs to the session, or are these dogs that you're bringing in to foster that that sense of calm?
Yeah. So the puppies we bring in from breeders. A lot of people might not know this, but in order for puppies to get acclimated to being around humans, they need to be socialized. So we're helping the breeders out as well so they can get used to being around human contact and get ready for their forever home.
That's great. So it's a win-win. The puppies are getting socialization and the people are getting relaxation.
And then maybe it crosses and the puppies are learning how to do a little art. Is there ever any fun little paw art happening from the puppies getting too curious?
We have not done that yet.
One day, a way too curious and energetic like retriever pup is going to bust into the art room and is going to create a dramatic piece for everybody. But speaking of dramatic pieces and some of your inspiration as an artist, you talk a lot about travel and how travel has influenced your art. So how do you sort of incorporate that type of experience that you have as an artist to some of the folks who come in and maybe lack that creative inspiration?
Yeah, so a lot of times I will bring in like photographs from travels that I've been on. Like so little background, my mom worked for the airlines for 42 years.
Wow.
And she's also huge into photography. So she's my inspiration. So she's gone all over the world, really, and taken some amazing photographs. And I use a lot of her work to help people get inspired.
That's really cool. So what you've done, Natalie, is really cool. How you've taken something that you love and that you're passionate about, and you multiple things, and you combine them together. What advice would you have for other aspiring artists who are looking to integrate their passion for something like you did with puppies into their creative work?
I would just say, you don't have to look too hard. Like, just figure out what it is you're passionate about, whether it's art, music. You could, combine those two even. And just create your own little world.
Don't overthink it. Just put the things you love together and make it happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm firmly in the overthink camp. I'll tell you that much. My feet are firmly planted in the overthink it and then do nothing about it. So maybe some puppy watercolors are in my future to help loosen me up a little bit. But I do want to talk a little bit about what you touched on at the top of the interview around this sense of community, especially coming out of the pandemic. Everything's based in New York City, correct?
Right now, yes. Yeah.
So New York City was hit pretty hard. The city that never sleeps got turned into the city that's always sleeping quite quickly. And now coming out of it, people are really looking for that sense of community. So can you talk a little bit about the types of relationships and connections that are being forged in these workshops every day?
Yeah. So we have people from all walks of life, whether, they're a kid or, a little bit more experienced. And they come in. A lot of people don't even know each other at all. And we'll just start talking about life and what got them started or interested in watercolors. And, we just form an organic conversation off of that. And, people have become friends. They've gone off to, I know my last class, there was a lady that was really in a great conversation with the girl sitting next to her, and they're actually doing a jewelry class next month together.
Oh,
so
cool.
it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, who would have thunk that going to a place and talking to people will get you friends? That's just absolutely mind-blowing to an indoors kid like myself, that if you just go and express your hobbies in groups of people, you're going to find like-minded individuals.
Exactly. Yep.
So Natalie, we'll definitely put a link to your website in the show notes, but what does the future look like for Watercolors and Whiskers?
So I want to have multiple locations. I'm going to try one in Houston in September.
Oh, wow.
So nice. Yeah, my mom lives down there, so I'm going to get a bunch of her friends and we're going to do one down there.
Let's put mom to work.
That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
I know you did 42 years in the airlines, Mom, but we're busting you out of retirement.
Exactly. Hopefully it's more fun though.
Yes. Yeah. I think this is going to be a little less stressful than flying. But Natalie, where can people find out more or sign up for classes if they're interested?
Yeah, so we have a website. It's called watercolorwhiskers.com. And we always have our events posted on there with the location, time, and everything. So, and we also have an Instagram and a TikTok as well.
All right. So go ahead and follow Natalie and her amazing projects. Check out the website. If you're in the greater New York area and you want to take a class, go ahead and sign up. I think I'm going to try and find some free time, and maybe you'll be seeing me down there as well.
You're in the city quite often, Chris.
No, I'm not. I'm near the city. I'm right over in Connecticut, and I could always get there, but I never do. I'm more of a suburban dad than an urban gunslinger, so I tend to shy away from the streets of New York. But for something as wonderful as Watercolor and Whiskers, I may have to make an exception.
Well, you're welcome anytime.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And again, everybody, check out the website, the Instagram, the TikTok. And thanks again for coming on the podcast.
Thanks,
Natalie.
Thanks.
Pets add life.
That was cool. I love that that breeders are using the Watercolor and Whiskers to socialize the puppies. I know we had a guest several weeks back that had puppy parties. That was
puppy parties. We did puppy yoga.
Yeah.
It's a nice symbiotic relationship there where everybody wins. I really wish I was more artistically inclined. I never really evolved past stick figures. And even then, they're like, you would think a straight line is easy. And it's like, when I want to draw a straight line, it gets all wobbly. When I want to draw a wobbly line, it's perfectly straight. So
you have other talents, Chris.
Do I? I'd be interested in hearing what those are outside of bloviating and BSing, but sure, yeah, other talents, but maybe Natalie could help me out with my watercolor strokes.
The product of the week.
Okay, it's time for our product of the week. Kristen, I did the first story, so I am voluntelling you to go first.
Voluntelling me? Okay.
I'm voluntelling you.
I will go first. And if you heard my story, my product goes along with the story. So my product today is dog booties. In particular, the Grip Trex dog boots by Roughwear. Now, I'm a huge fan of Roughwear. I've been buying their gear for my dogs for years. The quality is great, and they've always got really cool looking colors. And they have several dog boots available, but this one had a ton of reviews, ton of 5-star reviews. So I haven't personally bought these boots for my dog, but I think I would. Let's see, they are. They're the standard in paw wear for dogs who hike, bike, run, or explore. And I think it's important to think about in the summertime, even though we're heading out of the summertime, that pavement can get very, very hot. So even if you're just walking your dog on pavement or sidewalk, that's a good reason to have boots on them, as well as the hiking like we discussed earlier. But then as wintertime rolls in, boots can protect your dog's paws from ice and salt that cities use to melt the ice, or that some of us use to melt ice in our driveways. So yeah, and usually companies sell boots in pairs of 2, not 4, which might seem odd, but it's because your dog's paws in the front are usually smaller than the paws in the back. So you have to measure both the front and the back paws to order them. So
that makes a lot of sense.
There you go.
Well,
yeah.
Are they in there claiming that the dogs are biking? Did I hear that right? The dogs are hiking.
Yeah, that was
biking?
weird. It did say biking. I'm going to assume the person's biking with the dog alongside, which I don't know that I'm a fan of that.
And I'm going to assume that this is like a Donald and Daisy Duck situation, like a Scooby-Doo type thing where the dog is in the second seat pedaling away, and you got to get him the booties because you know how rough those pedals can be.
Yeah. Or maybe you're in a Flintstone. in a Flintstone car with your dog and you're
Yeah.
driving with your
Definitely.
feet.
I could definitely see like a big old Great Dane operating a Flintstone car. That's just seared into my mind at this point.
What's your
Moving
product,
on
Chris?
moving on to my product. This is a product that I use quite often because Tiger tends to eat a little quickly, especially her dry food, and then she throws up on the carpet. Never the hardwood.
Ooh.
She always
Of course
gets.
not.
You could see her stomach starting to do weird things downstairs on the really easily cleanable like fake vinyl hardwood that we have, and then she'll bring herself upstairs to where it's entirely carpeted to throw up because I mean you got to be comfortable when you're selling a Buick as
You
we
want a
say.
soft landing for that
Yeah, right.
upchuck.
So in fact, even this morning, Tiger had a little bit of sick, but this is the Zoop Pet Stain and Odor Pro Eliminator Spray. And this stuff is amazing. We have a really light colored carpeting upstairs, like a sort of a sand color. And this takes it right out every single time. It smells a little weird. I'll be honest, it does. But what it does is completely eliminate the bad odor. And then I usually just sort of use a paper towel to pick up the solid, spray this on there, wait like a minute, dab it up with some more paper towel, and then spray a little Febreze. And it's honestly like it never happened. It's great. There's a lot of other odor removers out there. Scout's Honor makes a lot of really great stuff. If you sort of just go to the grocery store where they don't have a lot of these specialty products, there's a product called Resolve that you could just grab at CVS. They have it everywhere. But all of these are great options. What you don't want to be doing is like using like Windex or something like a multi-purpose cleaner, because basically what all these products do is they have this specialty mix of enzymes that basically break down the bacteria that cause odor. So you really want to look for a specific product. You can find Zoop on Amazon. It retails for about $17.50 a bottle. You really can't beat that for knowing that whatever mess your pet manages to make on your carpet, they'll be able to take care of it.
Q&As.
All right, Kristen, it's time for our favorite segment. That's right. We're going to answer 2 questions from our wonderful audience. And remember, wonderful audience, you can submit your questions by going to petsaddlife.org/podcast. Scroll on down to the bottom of that page, go past all of the wonderful episodes of the PAL podcast. And while you're there, why not peruse some of the videos? Take a look at what we look like in real life as we have our hilarious moments, our moments of shame, and our moments of glory. You can catch all of the reactions live in 4K, or sometimes it's never 4K. It's like 720 on the old camera, 1080 on the new one. But hey, who am I to judge? Go past all those videos. You're going to see a place where you could submit your question, quick and easy form, or, and I'm calling you out, audience. I want to see you leave a voice memo. I want you to record your own voice, record your question, and you will hear it played back to you on this show.
Chris, I think we need to incentivize the voice question because we haven't gotten one. So
here we go. I'm letting you all know right now. If you leave a voice memo, if there's a voice memo left for a question, I will do my best to answer the question in rhyme.
Ooh.
The whole question. I'll Shakespeare it. It'll be a whole limerick.
I love it.
So
improv, just improv style.
Well, yeah, definitely not improv. We're gonna need that one in advance. We're gonna need
Give
me at least 24 hours with it.
I love that.
Definitely.
I think that's a great idea.
No Shakespearean improv. Although, if you are in the LA area, check out the Improv Shakespearean Theater with Ross Bryant. It's very good. He's very funny. But alas, we have questions. Let's get back to that before I make more promises that will surely embarrass myself. Yeah, before we're derailed. So we've got a great question here from Alex in Denver. Alex asks, my dog has been scratching a lot and has developed some red, irritated patches on his skin. What are some common causes of skin issues in dogs, and how can I help him?
Okay, so I have a little bit of experience with this because my previous dog, Chili, had a lot of skin challenges. And obviously, I'm not a veterinarian, and this is probably ultimately something you'll want to talk to your veterinarian about. However, I can tell you that the common causes of skin issues that would cause your dog to scratch them a lot would be either a bug bite or a flea bite, some type of or even an injury could cause the irritation and could lead to scratching and licking. But what's can compound the problem is that oftentimes all that scratching and licking leads to a secondary bacterial infection. So then you're going to need to see the vet and probably get some antibiotics. And then also you'll need to find a way to prevent your dog from getting to that spot so that it can actually heal. I would say some dogs are actually allergic to flea bites. So even if your dog is on flea protection, it's possible that they can be bitten by a flea and have an allergic reaction that causes them to bite and scratch away. But yeah, those are probably the most common, a bite or an injury. So let's get your dog some help and some comfort.
Yeah, I've got a little sprinkle, a little cherry on top to throw into that. This is something that we experienced with my parents' dog. Sometimes your dog can be allergic to the shampoo or soap that you use to wash them, or it could just irritate their skin. That is just something to consider, especially if you notice a trend of they get irritated like a day after the day after they have a bath. You might want to switch products. When you do so, look at the ingredient list and what's going into that product and try to find and do some investigation to, figure out what exactly is causing the allergy. But that's just, something from my past that you may find helpful there, Alex.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Alex. So our second question is a cat question. So I'm going to toss this one to you, Chris. It is from Lisa in Seattle. And she says, I have a very shy cat who hides whenever guests come over. What are some effective ways to help her become more comfortable around new people?
That's a great question. And I love me a shy cat. I consider myself to be the shy cat whisperer. When I go into somebody's home and they're like, "Oh, don't mind the cat. She probably won't come out." I'm there, and I'm finding a way to connect with that beautiful animal. Cats are usually shy because they have anxiety over the situation, and they're probably just not used to having strangers in what they consider to be their zone, especially indoor. A lot of shy cats are indoor only cats. I can't remember the last time I met either an outdoor cat or an indoor-outdoor cat that was particularly shy. And it's because this home is kind of all they know, and now there are mysteries afoot inside their home. And so put yourself in the mind of that cat. If you never really left the confines of your home and some strangers were walking in and out and you really had no good way to communicate with them, it would put you at a bit of a peculiar situation as well. So here's what I'll say. You want to sort of train the cat to get more comfortable when there's people around. So when you're having friends over, this is where the people food gets busted out. And when I say people food, let's say I'm having a dinner party and I have a shy cat and I'm going to be making some chicken, just plain chicken breast, no oil, no salt, anything, cooked to the same temperature people eat, just maybe a half a chicken breast cut up, and serve the cat that food while you're eating dinner. And now it's becoming like there's not a single cat I know that would turn down actual human food prepared properly. And now the cat's going to realize, oh, they're eating, I'm eating. Nobody's trying to take this from me. This is good. You could do it with treats too. You could do it with catnip. You could do it with their favorite toy. But I've always found that people food is like the greatest incentive for most animals. They love that. You just want to make sure you're feeding them something that's safe. I think in a previous episode, we went through a lot of the different safe people foods for cats. So look back on that episode if you need more. But it's all about incentivizing, giving time, and exposing them often.
Yeah, yeah, and you're associating that tasty chicken treat with visitors. So ultimately, your cat might be more comfortable around visitors. However, I would just add to that one thing, Chris: never force your cat to come out and socialize. It has to be on their own terms. Otherwise, you'll just be making the situation worse.
That's so true. We've been trying to get Tiger to drink out of a water fountain, and we've been going to war with her, and especially with our
She
trip to
won't?
Miami.
She won't.
No, oh my goodness, she's a princess. She will only drink out of the sink. She will meow near the sink until you pick her up and turn it on for her, and then she'll meow to bring her off and to turn it off. It's a whole thing, and I don't mind. Listen, I'm a good cat dad. I'll of course take care of my little princess, but at the end of the day, when we're leaving, like for example, just went to Miami, we're gone for 4 days. Somebody has to now come watch the cat because she needs to be watered. I always say we got to water the cat.
They need to come turn on the faucet.
Yeah, exactly. So this was the first time we managed during a trip to catch her on the camera drinking out of the fountain. And all I did was that whole entire week, every time she'd ask to be lifted onto the sink, I'd bring her to the water fountain, put her in front of it, and then she'd leave and I'd bring her to the sink. I wouldn't force it, but I'd be like, there's water here. There's water here. And so when she got desperate and thirsty because we were gone, she finally bit the bullet and had this other kind of water that was, I guess it's just mediocre. It's just peasant water when it comes out of the fountain.
Yeah.
But when she got thirsty, she did know to go up there and drink. So we were very
I love
proud
that.
of
That's
her,
just
and it made
another
us feel a lot better.
It's another example of how our pets train us, and we fall for it. So she's trained you to be her, her water carrier or faucet turner on her.
Man. Yeah, I'm a faucet turner. If she could do it herself, she would, but she can't, and therefore I am important. And now moving away from that tangential story, I think, Kristen, that is the end of our episode.
Wow, that went fast.
That
just means summer's coming to an end even sooner. I saw Halloween costumes in Target the other day, and I was disgusted.
You should have arrested the manager. Citizens arrest. Citizens arrest. If the trees haven't even thought about changing color yet, like these trees, they're not even considering changing their color yet. You should get under until your local empty retail store has the hiring sign for Spirit of Halloween. Target cannot be putting Halloween decorations and costumes out. That is illegal. I'm going to find that Target. I'm going to put the manager under a citizen's arrest because I'm upset. I don't know if you see me in this video. I'm upset. I think
we need to talk to Ron about sending a camera crew with you into Target. I'd like to watch this.
We're gonna get Chris the bounty hunter. Chris the bounty hunter has found his quarry at the Target in North Carolina. It's a new show for Dog the Bounty Hunter TV. There we go. That's a good one. Oh, high five, Chris.
Chris, we need to wrap this up. I've got to go pack for Vegas.
I know. Oh my goodness, you're right. We're going to Las Vegas for Super Zoo. That's happening like now. In the future, now. In the present, no. In the future, yes. We're going to be in Las Vegas for Super Zoo. I can't wait. We're going to be together in person. None of this Zoom stuff.
And Ron told us we have to remember to pack these microphones, which by the way is going to put my suitcase over 50 pounds and cost me $60. Can I bill that to the show?
Invoice it to Ron. Okay. Send him a bill. But I believe the word on the street is that we'll be doing a episode in front of a live studio audience like Nickelodeon in the 90s. I can't wait. It's going to be super exciting. So if you are listening and are going to be at Super Zoo, stop on by, be part of the audience, ask your questions. We're going to have some great guests. We're going to be telling some great jokes. So if you're going to be in town for the Super Zoo event, come find us and we'll see you there.
Bye now.